Alright, so this is going to be an interesting how-to video. This how-to video is going to show how to upgrade the CPU in an IBM PS2 Model 25 and upgrade the BIOS to an XT-ITE controller card. Alright, now the reason I'm going to flash the BIOS on the controller card is because the CPU I'm going to be putting in the computer is an NEC V30. Now, I used to have this processor in here, but for nostalgic reasons I went back to an 8086. However, I would rather go back to the V30 again now. So first things first, we're going to go ahead and shut the computer off. And we're going to move all the peripherals out of the way, so that way nothing gets in the way of working here. So we're going to move some stuff over here. Discs, move right over here. Let's put them under the sun for now. Those are all bad discs anyway. So I have my books for the computer, including some information about the computer here. Pocket PC Ref and IBM DOS, or PC DOS as I should call it. I have also replaced the mouse with a Dell mouse. I chose this mouse because it just works better. Move that out of the way. Keyboard. I'll just put that on top of my printer for now. Pretty sure that won't mind. So the tools that you're going to need for this are a flathead screwdriver and a chip puller. Now I may run into problems because I have some expansion cards installed and they may be covering it up, the CPU, so I may not be able to use this. Now normally if you're doing this correctly, you would remove those expansion cards. However, these expansion cards are quite finicky and I don't really feel like removing them. So we're going to go ahead and get the computer disassembled. Now this video is going to be entirely in real time. So you want to carefully put the computer down on its face. Now you'll see here, actually I'll turn it this way. Here we go. Now you'll see here there's a few plugs on the back. We have power. Push this over here for now. We have Ethernet, printer cable, mouse, keyboard. I also have one of these little adapters in here for the headphone jack. I just stick it in the headphone jack so the computer stops beeping all the time when someone connects to the FTP server that this computer actually will run occasionally. And there goes the Ethernet cable. And a serial cable for working on Cisco Catalyst iOS software and hardware. You need that. I'm just going to leave that in there. So, let me go ahead and I also have this under the computer, a little piece of paper towel, just to kind of keep the computer sturdy. It's a wooden table. Any little vibrations the computer makes will be very audible. And I'm going to turn the computer this way because the CPU is closest to this side. So, I'm going to go ahead and remove those flathead screws now. Yeah, I might as well go ahead and just remove that headphone jack thing. There we go. And then you're going to just carefully pull up and out. Now the computer has opened up. So what I'm going to do here for the camera, remember I said this is happening all in real time. tripod up. Lock it in place. Tilt the camera down. Here we go. And just turn, and here we go. Right here is the CPU. This right here is the Mathco processor. So after looking over this a little bit more, I really don't have any room to get that processor out. So I am going to use the chip puller. I was going to hit both sides with the flathead screwdriver very carefully and evenly, do a little on one side, do a little on the other, till it just rocks it out. But as you can see, that ain't happening. So we're going to remove these expansion cards right now. I forgot this one isn't actually screwed in, it just sits there. So I'm going to go ahead and remove it. And I have this little thing here for the LED, for the hard drive light, so I'm going to move that out of the way. And this is the XT IDE card using a 2 GB solid state memory called Disk On Module. This is the EEPROM right here we are going to be flashing today. And it has a little bit of a modification on the back so that way it can be powered without using a special power cable for the module, because I don't have that cable. So we're going to move that out of the way for now. I have little things here to keep it so it doesn't ground out or anything, because I'm using a bracket here that just holds it in place. Since there's no screw holes on that card, I can't actually screw the bracket to it. Here comes the Ethernet card. And yes, this is a 16-bit ISA card for Ethernet being used in an 8-bit slot. They do work. Alright. So now I have access to the processor here. It's a little bit dusty in here. Here's the RAM. These are the BIOS chips for the computer itself. And I actually replaced it with regular EEPROM chips, not the ones with the ultraviolet windows, because I don't want to wear out those chips. Those chips are quite old and I don't think they're going to last much longer. Usually UV window type EEPROMs don't last forever, last for long. So I replaced it with the regular closed solid plastic ones already. So we're going to take this puller, grab both sides of that chip, make sure it's got a solid grip, and carefully pull on the chip. And it will creak. And I'm running into a problem. This chip puller is just not large enough. So I am going to have to do the screwdriver method. I did not want to do that, but I have no choice. Basically, you just try to get it in between a little bit and just give the screwdriver a little twist. And go to the other side. And you'll notice I'm actually holding the computer's metal chassis while I do this. And I'm doing that so I can ground myself. I do take anti-static seriously as much as I can with what I have. Now do keep in mind I don't have an anti-static mat, but I am not standing on a carpet. This is a wooden floor. Alright, that chip is removed. Now you will take notice that the chip had its notch facing this way, towards the back. That notch is very important. That signifies where pin 1 is. So here's my container of some old processors. I have a Motorola 68000 pulled from a Sega Genesis. This chip works. NEC V30 and another 8086. This is a plastic 8086. This 8086 right here is a ceramic one that also contains some, I guess there's some kind of bug in the design, which I'm wondering if I'm running into that bug because it has some hiccups that don't seem normal. But I'm going to go ahead and remove the NEC V30 from this package. Notch is on my thumb, which is closest to there. And I'm going to put it in that socket. Very, very carefully. One of the pins are bent. So, try to get this bent back. I don't recommend bending the pins if you don't have to, but this processor has bent pins. Alright, it is all set. Alright, just push it right in there. Make sure everything's okay and everything is fine. So, it has a V30 in there now with the Intel 8087. I use the Mathco processor on some graphing applications. They come in handy. So, I'm going to now go ahead and put the Ethernet card back into the computer. I'm going to go ahead and screw that right back in there. Get the IDE card back installed. And I'm going to plug in that LED, because I do like to know when it's being accessed. Alright, everything's put back together. I'm starting to lose some sun over here. So the sun is my stage light. There it goes. Looks like it's starting to get bright again. Perfect. So, everything is all set. I am ready to put the computer right back together now. So when you're doing that, you do want to be careful. None of these cables snag. So you're just gonna push them over on that one side. Make sure there's no floppy in the drive when you do this, because they will catch. And then there is no floppy in the drive. Good. Alright. Now I can put the screws back in the computer. This screw is stripped. Oh, I forgot I'm going to need to move the camera. And as I was saying, this screw right here is actually stripped. It doesn't actually screw down or anything. It grips a little bit, but not much. In. Just try to get that one. That one's not even gripping at all now. But that's okay. It's not like the computer gets moved around a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom out. And I'm going to grab that Ethernet cable I lost over here just a second ago. Okay, so I was able to get that cable finally. I had to edit out a lot of frustration of getting this stupid Ethernet cable. I'm going to plug it right back in now. Tilt the computer back easily. And now I'm going to plug in the mouse. Keyboard. Serial cable for my Cisco equipment. Printer cable. Now, normally when you're doing this, you usually just want to, you know, test the computer before you put everything back together. But unfortunately, a Model 25 isn't designed that easily. So if you're going to hook everything up, you might as well just hook it all up right away. Power cable. Everything's in. So I'm going to go ahead and push the computer back. And this is my disk to flash the XT IDE card with a BIOS that's going to work with the V30. Because there is a specific BIOS for the XT IDE that has 8186 instructions on it. V30s have 186 on it, so it's actually like upgrading this computer from an 8086 to a 186 with V30 and Intel 8080 instructions. It's quite an interesting upgrade, but you might as well get the best use out of that card. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the computer and turn it on. And, if done right, we should have a post. We got memory count. That's definitely a good sign. So now we're booting up. It's already booting the XT IDE card. And we'll note that it is at C800. And I have two different flashing utilities on here. One for the Rev 1 card and one for the Rev 2 card. This is a Rev 1. My Rev 2 card's currently out of commission for some reason. So load BIOS from file. We're going to load the XTP version. That's for the 8086 V30s, or 186. We'll load that. And now we can choose to load the old settings from the EEPROM if we choose. This is good for, you know, if you have some custom settings and stuff, but we want to be careful because there's some enhancements too, I believe. So let me see here. Bus type, 2x8-bit master. I don't really see anything that's going to be specific, so we can go ahead and just load. Or full operating mode, yes. So actually, load old settings for the EEPROM. Because I do run it in a full operating mode. Bootloader type, a then C. Just make sure everything's right. Then C. Alright. Flash EEPROM. So the EEPROM size is already correct. It's a 2864, which is 8 kilobytes. Software data protection command. I don't actually know if this EEPROM supports that, but I'm going to leave it on just in case, but it will give me an error if it doesn't. My EEPROM is at C800. Whoop. Yeah. Too many zeros. Page size 1 byte, generated checksum, yes, you always want that. And we'll start flashing. And it did not work, so that's going to be my software data command. Data protection, I'm going to tell it none. And it went fast for the first bit because that part in the EEPROM is already the same as what's there. So when it goes slow on certain sections, that means they're actually different on the EEPROM, so that's where it's actually configuring the change. I got email on my iPad at the same time when that finished, so I made the ding right when it was completed. That is perfect. I could never ask for anything better. Is the camera rolling? Yes, it is. Awesome. So, pressing the key to reboot. take out that disk now. Now it should boot up with a IDE BIOS that is for the V30s. And it should boot really fast. It's already done booting. That was impressive, actually. It got an IP all set up. It went online, checked and synchronized its clock with the online time servers, which I go from pool.ntp.org. It resolved the IP address, all very fast. Time for the FTP server to now be active. And the computer's all done. It's now running on an NEC V30 processor, which is a 8086 with, like I said, the addition of the original Intel 8080 command set and 8186 command set and NEC V30 command sets. What an upgrade.